guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be talking about what I was looking for when I was hunting for apartments. In my last video, you guys saw 4 apartments that we toured, and today's video is just going to be me sort of discussing the pros and cons of each of those and explaining sort of why we decided to go with this place. And I haven't actually decided yet whether I'm going to reveal which apartment we chose in this video or in my next video, which is going to be the empty apartment tour. But this video will definitely give you guys some really good hints as to which one we went with. And I don't know if you guys can maybe pick up from the background which apartment we decided to go with. I have done some painting and decorating and stuff, so it does look a little bit different than it did when we first moved in, which is also a sneak peek at a future video where I redecorate our bedroom. But I digress. In today's video, like I mentioned before, we're just going to be taking a look at some of the pros and cons of the different apartments that we toured. Before we jump into the video though, this sweater, oh my gosh. Okay, so if you see anything, you don't, but this sweater is from Lululemon. I'm gonna have to back up and it's gonna get dark, but bear with me. So yeah, this sweater is from Lululemon. It's like the Olympic sweater, and oh my gosh, it's beautiful. Like, this sweater is to die for. I absolutely love the little quarter zip that they have going on here. The color, the waffling, the little details, everything is just amazing. I love this sweater. It was pretty expensive. $178, but you know, Lululemon. I actually ended up going with an extra small, which, like, I don't remember the last time I was an extra small in anything, so thank you Lululemon for the confidence boost. But yeah, I got the extra small and it fits like a dream, so love it. Anyway, on to the topic of today's video. I have written down all of my main talking points for all of the different apartments. My screen looks so gross right now. That's unfortunate. I'm not gonna show that again. I'm so glad to finally be able to share this like huge life update with you guys. I know in my where I've been video, which if you haven't already seen it, I'll link it right above here so that you guys can go see what I've been up to. That video now was filmed quite a while ago, but basically I went completely dead silent on YouTube for I think 2 or 3 months. There was just a lot going on in my life, not a lot of great stuff. I just couldn't bring myself to edit anything. Apartment hunting ended up being like way more difficult than I initially anticipated, but it was also a ton of fun being able to go tour different places, see what each place had to offer, and to sort of figure out for myself whether the benefits outweighed the drawbacks and which place would be the right fit for me. Jumping right in though, this video is going to cover everything that I was looking for in an apartment, the absolute must-haves, the things that I wanted but could live without, and also, of course, my deal breakers. Starting off with the must-haves, one thing that I wasn't going to compromise at all was having a ton of natural light. Before moving into this apartment, Jack and I were actually staying in his parents' basement, which was really good in terms of like saving money. It was comfortable, but one thing that I really didn't like about being in a basement like 24/7 was that there wasn't really a lot of natural light. And one thing that I learned about myself was that natural light is something that I needed. Like, for the mood boost, I was just straight depressy living in a basement. When I started my apartment hunt, the one thing that I would not compromise on at all was natural light. Luckily, I ended up in a place with a ton of it, so I'm super happy about that. To sort of go hand in hand with the whole natural light thing, I definitely did not want to move into a basement apartment. One, I really don't like living in a basement, and 2, why would I move out and pay rent to be in the same situation that I was already in. Like, it just make sense. So basement apartments were automatically a no-go. That being said, I was looking for an apartment building, ideally a high-rise, but honestly I didn't care if I was on a higher floor or a lower floor. Higher floors are really great because they have a better view, potentially more natural light, but living on, say, the 3rd floor, if the elevators were down, it would be no problem to just take the stairs up and down. In my mind, I was like, as long as I'm in an apartment building, either way, we're good. Another non-negotiable for me was that the building had to be pet friendly. I have 2 pets, a cat named Corona, and no, she's not a COVID cat. She's actually like 17 or 18 years old. We got her years ago, and her previous owners named her Corona, so yeah, in case you were wondering, she was Corona before the virus, okay? And then we also have a turtle. His name is Darwin. He's such a cutie. He's a little red-eared slider. So I definitely needed a place that was welcoming to both furry and scaly friends. I wanted to make sure that I was moving into a place where I could take them with me. And then the 4th thing is parking. I don't know if it's just where I live in like the Greater Toronto area or if this is a thing everywhere, but it is so difficult to find a place with parking included. I've had a car since I was 18, I'm now 24, and for me, having a car makes me feel free. Like, I can move and go anywhere as I please. So I would feel super trapped if I didn't have a car, and it would be an absolute deal breaker if I had to sell my car because I had nowhere to park it at my new place. The only places that I actually went and saw were places that did have parking, whether that was included in the price of rent or extra, but I needed a place with parking. There's no way that I was going to sell the car that I just bought, the car that I loved so much, my blue baby girl, Lana. She was coming with me. So yeah, needed parking. So those were my 4 non-negotiables: natural light, an apartment building, no basements, parking, and pet friendly. In terms of some things that I just saw as like bonuses, things that I'd like to have but they wouldn't be deal breakers, these were storage or a lot of space. I have a lot of stuff. I need someplace to put them. If you guys saw my storage room right now, your jaw would hit the floor. It is so full. I need help. So I definitely needed that storage space. Also stainless steel appliances. I just prefer the look of stainless steel. It's more modern, so I was looking for places that ideally had that. I also wanted a dishwasher. Who wants to be washing dishes by hand these days? Not me. And the 4th bonus, which honestly I was considering putting this as a non-negotiable, was in-unit laundry. That is something that is just so important to me, because really think about it. Who wants to be, one, paying to do their laundry on top of, you know, moving out and having rent and all these bills and responsibilities? Not me. And then 2, who wants to have to take their laundry out of their home and bring it to like some communal area to do it? Again, not me. So yeah, in-unit laundry was one of those things that I flip-flopped on. Honestly, I think I would categorize it more as a must-have versus a bonus, but it's sort of on the fence. To recap, my bonus items were space/storage, stainless steel appliances, a dishwasher, and in-unit laundry. So now that you know what I was looking for on my apartment hunt, I guess another important factor to mention would be price. When I first started looking into moving out, I did a lot of Googling to figure out what was the right amount for me to pay in terms of my budget, or like what the maximum rent that I could afford was. And I remember a few websites mentioned that it was something around like 30% of your gross monthly income. Based on that information, and I'll try to leave one of those articles linked in the description box below so you guys can get a better idea of what I'm talking about and what I took into consideration. I did the calculation based on my income, and basically what I got was that I could afford around $1,300 a month in rent. Depending on where you are, you might be thinking, wow, girl, you could get such nice places for $1,300 a month. That is a good budget. Going into my apartment hunt, that's what I thought as well. Once I actually started looking at the price of renting places in my area, I came to realize very quickly that, yeah, that wasn't gonna happen. If you can find a place for $1,300 in the GTA, especially in an area where you have things around you in walking distance, apartments, you're lucky. I'm just gonna say that. I think only one of the 4 places that we actually ended up touring was within budget. Now that being said, I only went based off of my budget. Jack and I, we have moved into this apartment together. We split costs and bills and rent and everything like that. But when I was originally doing my search, I went only based off of my income. And I know that might sound weird, but I have this weird thing with money where if I personally cannot afford something, or if I don't think I can afford something, then I won't do it. So it was important for me to feel like renting this apartment was a financially secure decision, if that makes sense, and it was something that I could afford on my own if need be. And honestly, I'm just really weird with money in general. My idea of being able to afford something is being able to buy it twice in cash. For example, my car. I drive a 2017 Hyundai Elantra. She's got push button start, she's got heated seats in the front and the back, Apple CarPlay, like I love my car to death. Heated steering wheel, like a must have in Canada, I must say. Although that is a really nice car, I definitely could have bought something newer. I could have afforded a brand new 2022 model Elantra, but I would have like just been able to afford it. I just thought, no, although I could buy that, I can't actually afford that, if it makes sense. And now I'm realizing that I've just gone off on a crazy tangent, because now we're talking about my car and this video is about apartment hunting. So back to the topic at hand. $1,300 was the budget that I had in mind going into this. That budget was just blown right out of the water because nothing in the areas that I was wanting to rent was $1,300. Actually, I did find a couple of places that were going for $1,300, but they were usually like in sketchy areas. One of them, for example, was in a building that I used to live in when I was younger. If you guys are from like Durham region, then you probably know White Oaks. If you know, you know, basically. But one of the places that I found that was renting for about $1,300 a month for a 1-bed was in a building that I used to live in where there was a shooting in the elevator. So although the price was tempting, the area was not. And also, like, the aesthetic of the apartment wasn't what I was looking for either. My tastes are more luxury style apartments, or what is branded as a luxury style apartment. Basically, I figured out very early on that $1,300 a month for a rental budget wasn't really going to work, and I did start looking at more expensive places that met all of my needs. I guess now that you guys have all of that background information, now would be a really great time to compare the different apartments that we looked at. Starting off with apartment number 1, this one was really nice, great area, short walk to a gym, grocery stores, like everything was within walking distance. There was a ton of natural light, floor-to-ceiling windows in the bedroom and living room. It was a pet-friendly building, and the only thing was parking. They were sort of not very clear about whether there was parking available. I spoke to one lady and she was like, no, we don't have any parking available. If you have a car, this ain't the place for you. And then I spoke to somebody else that said that they did have parking available, so it was sort of unclear. In terms of cons, this was a very small unit. If I remember correctly, it was about 400 square feet, and I will insert like the floor plan here and the square footage just to show you guys the size of that unit. There was no in-unit laundry. Overall, there were quite a few downsides to that apartment, but it was beautiful. Like, it was le pièce de résistance. But like, it had that luxury feel, stainless steel appliances, dishwasher, those windows, oh my gosh, like I could not get over the windows in that apartment, but it was very small. No in-unit washer dryer. The second apartment that we saw had in-unit laundry. Oh my gosh. And I believe that this was the only one that actually did have in-unit washer dryer. It was tucked away in the hall closet. Best part of that apartment was that you would not have to leave to do your laundry. Like, just the convenience of it is amazing. That apartment on the very back wall did have windows. They weren't floor to ceiling. They went about like halfway down the wall, but that was still like a lot of good natural light, so I really liked that. It was also like a more luxury type building. They had keyless access, so like you had a fob to get into your front door. They also offered a free YMCA membership, which was really cool. Although they didn't have like their own gym in the building, the YMCA was right next door and you could still go for free, which was awesome. They also had an amazing conference room and cooking space that I thought would be awesome for filming like YouTube videos and stuff. So yeah, those were definite bonuses of apartment number 2. In terms of the cons, it wasn't in the best area. This apartment was located in downtown Oshawa. Again, if you know, you know. Also, they did have parking, but it was an extra $100 a month. There was very little storage space in that unit. They had like the half wall bank of windows along the far side of the unit. The bedroom door was like at this sliding glass door. There weren't any windows in the bedroom though. And I think she was mentioning something about building code and the fact that because there were no windows in the bedroom, they had to make the bedroom door glass so that the light could still get in. So that was something that I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. One of my big things was natural light, so I was like, you know, it could work. It could not work, but I think it was still pretty cool. Overall, that apartment was really amazing, but it was on the smaller side. Like I mentioned before, we have a cat and a turtle, plus it's Jack and I. The turtle tank alone would take up a lot of space, and one thing that we were iffy about with the first 2 apartments was where we were gonna put this tank. So yeah. Moving on to apartment number 3. This one was located pretty close to apartment number 2, also in downtown Oshawa, so maybe not the best area, but this was the only unit that we saw where all of the utilities, so water, heat, hydro, and even internet were included in the price of rent, and it was the most affordable of the 4 units that we saw, coming in at, I believe, just about $1,300 a month, which was really good because it was the only one that was in my budget. That unit also had a dishwasher. Now, admittedly, I didn't see that unit myself. I set up an appointment to go check it out, but I had to work, so Jack and his mom ended up going to see it. Apparently, there wasn't really much to see. The tenant was still living in the unit at the time, so we didn't get much footage or like pictures. According to Jack, it gave off very like prison vibes. It was sort of like a catfish apartment. The pictures made it look a lot better than it actually did in person. Tiny windows, very little natural light. And if you guys are familiar with the area at all, this building actually used to be a hotel. It's like a really old building, and they just fairly recently converted it into rental apartments. Probably gonna pronounce this wrong, but it's the Ganosha, something like that, in downtown Oshawa. It looks like this. Although it was very tempting in terms of being within budget, having all of the utilities included, plus internet, which I thought was like mind-blowing. Like not having to pay for internet, amazing. It did have parking, but I believe parking was $100 a month for apartments 2 and 3. Although they did have parking that you could pay for, it was a parking garage across the street, so that was a little bit iffy. It was really close across the street, but in the winter that would be pretty annoying if it's like freezing cold, you park your car and then you have to like cross the street, so yeah. Finally, apartment number 4. This one was actually in the same complex as apartment number 1. Great area. Again, a lot of things were close by. This one was larger than apartment number 1. Again, I will try to insert a floor plan along with the square footage. The rent on this one, if I remember correctly, was around $1,700. So about $100 more a month than apartment number 1. And the main difference was that apartment number 4 was a 1-bed plus den, whereas apartment number 1 was just a 1-bedroom. It also had those floor-to-ceiling windows in the bedroom and living room. There was a gym in the building, as well as a party and conference room. This one had a dishwasher, but so did all of the other units, and then heat was included in the rental price. However, water and electricity were additional costs. Downsides of apartment number 4, there was no in-unit laundry. Although those buildings are quite new, I think they were built around 2017-18. Apparently the owner is like super old-fashioned, and he was like, yeah, we're not doing in-unit laundry. I guess he wanted the extra income from laundry rooms, which I found really odd because like it was a pretty stark contrast between the beautiful styling and like setup of the units, and then like you have a laundry room, like no in-unit laundry, but you know, whatever, do you. But yeah, the biggest drawbacks with apartment number 4 were that 1, there was no in-unit laundry, and 2, it was the most expensive unit that we saw out of the 4. So that was the 4 apartments that we toured, along with their pros and cons. Based on everything that I shared in today's video, hopefully you guys are a little bit closer to being able to figure out which apartment we decided to go with. Keep your guesses coming in the comment section below. I have seen a good guess already. I'll insert the comment right here. I think that is a pretty good guess, but you guys will have to wait and see. Let me know in the comments below which apartment you think we went with, and let me know if you have any questions about the apartment hunting process, or if you want to know where any of these apartments are. Leave me a comment or send me a DM on Instagram and we can talk a little bit more about it. But yeah, I think that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next weekend for the next installment of the moving series, where I give you guys our empty apartment tour. Bye! Oh, my leg is